Hey everyone, I wanted to talk about wanting. Um, because on the surface, wanting is quite straightforward. I want to go there, I want to do this, I want to have this for dinner, I want to write this book, I want to have that client, I want to go there on holiday. It looks quite straightforward. But where it gets really interesting is where there's a want and yet it's not happening. I love that. It's endlessly fascinating, that, isn't it? Because the mind is saying, and particularly in my line of work, people say the things that they want to do. I want to leave my job and start this business up. I want to um, finally write my book of poetry. I want to um, take 6 months and travel the world. I want to lose weight. I want to exercise more. I want to stop smoking. I want to be more sociable. And it's not happening. And why isn't it happening? What's going on? What's that disconnect between the surface um, environment of the mind that is saying, this is what I want. This is really what I want. And it's saying, and I won't really be happy or satisfied until I'm doing this. And so we're living really in a bit of a remove from our current situation because this isn't quite right. I'm doing this job, but really I want to have my own business, or um, I'm busy, but really I want quiet time to write my book, or I'm this level of fitness, but really I want to be running a half marathon. But we're not doing it. So we're discontent with what is going on now, with our current status. There's a resistance to it because we've got this idea of how we or things should be different. And yet there is no movement towards that thing happening. And and so we can go and see a coach and we embark on all these things to try and do the thing that we think we want, and then it's still not happening. And it seems to me that in a way we've got it all the wrong way round, because whatever the mind is saying is actually completely irrelevant. It's got nothing to do with anything. It's all the mind is really is a voice of discontent, a voice of resistance, an activity of thinking that removes presence or veils presence from just this. So the mind is really an activity of resistance or seeking, the self activity, selfing. And actually it's completely irrelevant. There's actually no information in it. But what is really informative, really interesting, um, are the actions, is the behavior, because the behavior and the actions, what gets done, is the external manifestation of the programmed conditioning, the sort of software that we're running on, the learned idea of, well, the learned program of operation. And so the actions are showing that. So really what we can say is, ultimately, whatever the actions are doing, whatever the behavior is, that really is what the system wants. That is what the program wants to have happen, because those actions are optimum for for the program, given what's believed, given what's understood about the self and other, given the sort of patterns, the grooves created in the mind. This is the optimum expression of that. And that turns everything upside down, because instead of this inner battle going on between, in theory, what I want and what I'm doing, and so I'm just caught in this anomaly between these two things that look apparently separate. What I want and what's happening looks completely different, but actually it's all a product of the same learned program. So instead of that internal battle going on, what we have instead is behavior that is continual information back into the system about what's being believed, about about everything that gives rise to actions. It's all, whatever's happening in here, the actions are making that visible. And then you might say, okay, well, yeah, but so what? Well, that's for the first time, really, because we can start to see this, we're seeing the internal made external. And as soon as it becomes visible, because previously it was completely hidden, we weren't even aware that there was any program. It was just this battle going on between, I want to write a book, but I'm not doing that. I'm watching TV or scrolling Netflix or social media. That internal battle was so much tension, so much self-blame, so much unrest. We didn't even think that there was actually a conditioned program of beliefs and learning that was fueling everything. And so now we're seeing the program. So when we say we want to set up a business, but there's been absolutely no move to do so, no conversations with our current work, no investigation of what that business could look like, no recruiting of people, no creating of materials or anything. What we can see in our behavior is that given the program, this status quo makes sense. And we can see what the program is now. So the program starts to become more visible. And in that we start to see the insecurities, the fears, the shame, the voice of our parents maybe that talked about safety in corporate work, or relatives or friends whose businesses have failed. And we start to see the program that means no action is being taken to set up our own business. It becomes visible. And this transparency is everything. And once it starts to become transparent, then there's a gaze on it. There's a clear look, and there's inquiry and curiosity and exploration. And is this true? Is this really true? Is this belief that's been ingrained in me over decades that it's safer to do XYZ work rather than ABC work? Is that really true? And then there's more intimacy with the world. There's more questioning and finding out and research, because it's not anymore an underground dictatorship, this program. It's just a series of beliefs that were learned. And so the mind switches from lost in the story, lost in that battle, lost in that self-blame, to an actual space of inquiry, of undoing the learning, or new learning happening. And that's where change happens, not in more self-flagellation that we're not doing the thing that the mind thinks we should do, but in really clearly, impersonally observing our behavior, our current behavior right now, without judgment, without blame, but just from the perspective that that behavior is making sense given what's believed. And so the behavior is the route into what is being believed, what is the program that gives rise to everything, all aspects of my life. And does it still make sense? Is it still true? And then beliefs from that place, beliefs fall away. Things that were just hidden, that were never looked at, that were just there because they were never considered, dissolve forever. And then there's freedom. And then from that space, we might absolutely find ourselves starting a new business or a new exercise program or a new sport or a new relationship or entirely new way of living, because the program, the structure of belief that was keeping the old way in place has been seen, and it's the seeing that releases it. The truth sets us free. Yeah. So that's wanting. It's a brilliant topic. Thank you. Bye.